smart rotations by Team Solo Mid, getting a lot of towers, getting inhibitor. They can actually be happy, even though they lost this game. Obviously, you're not happy because you lost the series, but this game alone was very, very well played by Team Solo Mid as well.
It was, and unfortunately for them, it is the end of the road. Their World Championship journey is now over, but they can take a lot into next season. They defeated a Korean team for the first time in their team's history, and they dealt the favorites to win the tournament. An unhappy victory, honestly.
It very well may be that they stand to be the only team that will take a game off of Samsung White. After they turned it back on, put the picks back in their favor on comfort picks, they were back to the White we saw in the first two games.
Yeah, nice bow in front of the home crowd. Thinking about the way White played, they definitely showed a few minor vulnerabilities, not necessarily in their gameplay, but in their mindset. The mental game may be where they are potentially attackable in the future. And that's one of the hardest things to attack in League of Legends, because you never really know how to get inside the head of an opponent. But with that being said, they're our first team in the semifinals.
Absolutely ridiculous matchups here. Already in the quarterfinals, a lot said this would be a sweep. TSM was coming in as the underdog in many people's minds. I think everybody's mind. Able to take that game off of White, gave them a lot of momentum to go into the next game adapting, figuring it out. Our longest game of the series, so it showed that they were adapting, but just not fast enough.
We could really see the difference between Team Solo Mid in game 1 and 2, where they're very nervous. Again, we had Reginald talk about it, Loco Doco was talking about how there was some nerves. They kind of had to get going, and once they did, they actually started to perform really well. If they could perform like this from game 1, we would have a lot closer series.
Yeah. That's pretty much the story. TSM started so slow against White. And to White's credit, they came out of the gate running. They never really let TSM catch their breath until they actually did. Obviously, that's when we saw the one game. I'm honestly happy that TSM was able to win a game there. Right? Yeah. It definitely, it's going to be good. Take this with a grain of salt. It's going to be good for both teams here. TSM, because they can take that confidence into the next season, and White, because hopefully they will never underestimate opponent again.
It's something that crushed them in that third game. And even like Team Solo Mid to come out, play as well as they did, and we saw them put another 27-minute game onto White. So White definitely crumbled in that situation. We talked about Dandy and Mata kind of having a mentality that could kind of go off on tilt. It did a little bit there, and we saw it. How many times did TSM just completely out-rotate the team? Mata's that caller on those shots. And it was Bjergsen coming through on, even amazing if he was calling it, or Lost Boy. There's a lot of voices that talk towards that mid-game, and they were making the right calls. But it was amazing also, or even better, to see how White reacted to all of that and was able to patch that up.
Yeah, I mean, overall, they were the stronger team. We knew it going into the series. They looked so dominant in the start. And in this game here, as soon as they saw the opening in the late game, in popped out of stealth. They got the kills, they got the Baron. And that's what they needed. But still, I mean, they had to fight for it, especially in the last one here.
Definitely happy to see that Team Solo Mid was doing different early games. Loco Doco said they had some different things they were going to do, and they got early wards in that made this game go longer, as we said, if it had just happened earlier.
Yeah, and looking at the way White was able to regain their heads and come out serious in the last game, bodes well for them. I still think they're the series in the World Championship.
All right,
the favorite in the World Championship.
Right, absolutely. All right, let's head over to the stage where Shox is standing by on the red side.
Thank you very much, guys. I am standing by here with Imp after securing a spot in the semifinal. Congratulations. I do have to ask, we talked to your coach before Game 3. He said, I hope they don't get too excited. So what did happen in Game 3 for you guys?
아까 일전에 이제 오무 코치님 인터뷰 때 화이트 팀이 너무 자만하지 않았으면 좋겠다라고 이제 말씀하셨었는데 3경기 때 혹시 좀 자만하셨었나요?
저 같은 경우에는 자만이라기보다는 약간 3경기 때 픽을 너무 뭐라 해야 되지? 어떤 특징이 없는 픽을 뽑아가지고 했어서 4경기 때는 정말 저희 팀 모두 제일 자신 있는 그런 픽을 해서 했어요.
Rather than being too cocky, I think we didn't focus too much on our picks for Game 3. So for Game 4, we really focused on getting the picks we really wanted. And I think, yeah, it was a good game.
You had your pick for Twitch again. 2 pentakills in 1 World Championship. You were very humble back in Taiwan. How does that make you feel about your own skill set, having those 2 pentakills now?
이번 대회 2번째 펜타킬을 기록하셨었는데요. 대만에서는 되게 겸손한 모습을 보여주셨었는데 이번엔 좀 더 자신감이 이제 생기셨나요?
자신감이 솔직히 제가 이번에 펜타킬 한 것도 제가 잘한 게 아니라 저희 마타 형이나 댄디 형이 약간 많이 만들어줘서 한 거기 때문에 저는 제가 그렇게 많이 잘한 거라고 생각을 안 해요. 네. 다 마타 형이랑 댄디 형 덕분이죠.
I want to say thanks to Mata and Dandy for making this pentakill for me. This whole game and pentakill was made by all my teammates.
Fantastic. Imp, the job is not done yet. Next up is Samsung Blue or Cloud9. Who do you think it will be, and who would you rather play, and why?
이제 내일 8강전에 삼성 블루랑 클라우드9 팀 하는데요. 누가 이길 것 같고 누구랑 붙고 싶으신지.
저는 블루가 한 절반 넘는 확률로 이길 것 같지만 한 70%로 C9이랑 저희는 경기를 하고 싶어요. 블루랑 하기 싫어요.
I think Samsung Blue has a 70% winning chance, but I prefer it's Cloud9. I don't want to play against Samsung Blue anymore.
I can understand why. Finally, is there anything you want to say to the crowd here and watching from home after that brilliant performance?
마지막으로 이렇게 경기장 와주신 팬들한테 한마디 해주세요.
저를 응원해 주시는 팬분들 얼마 안 되시겠지만 네, 사랑하고 감사합니다. 열심히 하겠습니다.
I want to say thanks to all of my fans. Thank you for coming here.
Well, thank you for the interview. Congratulations, Imp.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're going to wrap things up over with the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Shucks. Congratulations to Samsung White closing the game out 3-1 rather at the end of the game. I think Samsung White, they played very aggressively. They got a lead very early on. Before we talk about some of that, let's pull up the replay of that pentakill very quickly. And if I can just get everybody on the desk to sort of chime in on how this was set up and really just how well Samsung White team fought. It's something they did the entire game. Roll the clip out, Crepo. Let me know.
Yeah, prior to this fight, it was just the combination of those wind balls is just always really good from White. But he gets caught here, but the follow-up immediately to KO ulti, and then just how this plays out is just so good.
Dandy is so good. He kicked Wall Turtle out so he does almost 0 damage right off the bat. It's just ridiculous.
Well, just the walls were protecting Imp there for so long as well. He got a multi-man spray and pray. Basically,
tornado over the wall.
I mean, just insane.
Okay, but look what Danny does next. This is crazy. Like,
well, he misses E2. He misses E2, so clearly a huge misplay. Korean suck.
Wait, he missed the second E?
Yeah, there's no slow.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Out of range.
He walked out of range.
It's a bait, dude. He got the minions to block. He flashes the...
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Is this guy human?
Yeah, of course he is.
I guess
that's
so.
all predictions.
It didn't show. Second pentakill for Imp in the World Championship. I think if we summarize the game, Samsung White, they developed a big lead early on. Team Solo Mid took advantage of openings when Samsung were pushing the map, and they managed to stall the game out. And unfortunately, they couldn't do that over and over again to claw back the lead.
Well, I thought it was very impressive. TSM really did out-rotate White in the mid-game there, and you can see that sometimes White is a little hesitant on their decision-making, and this is a lot of the reason why Blue has won in this series against them. You can see that there are some weaknesses here.
I actually was a huge fan of how TSM played the early game. They tried so hard to make early plays. The very first item bought by Lesbo was Boots of Mobility. They spent 2,100 gold on wards before they even bought a Sight Stone in the first 15 minutes. They tried so hard to set up early game plays from TSM, but Samsung White completely outplayed them. They played only on the strong side of the map. They warded it heavily, so their dives were very much free, no chance of counter-gank. Samsung White played the first 50 minutes even better than TSM, despite actually spending less on vision.
If only though TSM got that free Baron they had everything lined up for it. Mid was pushing in. White was finally realizing they had to back to somebody had to defend the Nexus. They were all basic, and TSM just got a little scared. But I could have broken up the series.
I have to say, TSM really blew all of our expectations out of the water. I mean, like, this is not a loss for NA. If you're an NA fanboy, you should be really happy. They murdered the favorites to win the entire tournament in Game 3, and they tooled them around the map in Game 4. I think TSM put up a pretty good fight, way better than we expected.
I agree, and it's really for Game 4 that I think that their strengths shown. I mean, for me, Game 3 was Samsung White, not a fluke, but Samsung White was not playing 100%. But I think in Game 4, you can look at that game and say it was close. I mean, they did a good job of getting that inhibitor. They did a good job of playing objectives on the map, and I think that was the most impressive game from TSM for me.
I completely agree with that. It showed an understanding of playing the map. Final thoughts, Doublelift, before we move on.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they played the map so well that they had an opportunity actually to take 2 inhibitors at a certain point, but they kind of dropped the ball on that one. That's all I was going to say.
Big misplay at the end. That was the final nail in the coffin. Guys, we now know one of the teams who will be headed to Seoul for the semi-finals. So let's take a look at that bracket. Samsung White, 3-1 over Team Solo Mid. They will be facing either their sister team Samsung Blue or Cloud9. That will be determined tomorrow. And obviously, 2 more quarterfinals following over the course of the weekend. Very quickly, guys, it is the expected result after seeing how well TSM played against White. I think let's just get some quick thoughts about Cloud9 tomorrow against Samsung Blue. I mean, Cloud9 looked better than TSM in all of their group stage games. We sort of assumed they're a smarter team. Freak, is that fair to say or not?
I am definitely excited for the Cloud9 Samsung Blue matchup. White looked better than Blue, Cloud9 looked better than TSM. If you consider that that keeps happening, maybe not, then you have a very, very close series.
The thing about Blue, though, which surprised me in the group stage, before this I had never really seen them get cocky in a game. I think they did show some more of that cockiness in groups while White dialed it back. However, I think Blue got the wake-up call. I do expect Cloud9 to take a game tomorrow, but I think Blue is a much more patient team than White. They're not going to be making these same kind of pick-and-ban mistakes.
I think the Samsung head coach is going to have a talk about being overzealous with his team for sure, and that hopefully that same mistake won't happen again. But even then, I think just based on what can happen in a game, Cloud9 definitely has a chance to win a game, but overall, favorite for the series is still going to be Blue. There's no reason to doubt that anymore.
Well, nodding heads across the board. Guys, coming into Game 4, Samsung White played very aggressively to secure their lead. It was their lead that was garnered by some successful ganks, and it's time for a highlight that we call Gank You Very Much. The first one, as we said, it is Game 4. It's just Bjergsen being ganked in the mid lane, and Braum doing what Braum does.
Oh yeah, ideally he should have flashed to the right here, but like, they force his flash and then get the Braum follow-up Q, and immediately all 4 of them just want to jump in, get that follow-up auto-tech stun, and that's just a really good gank. But knowing Bjergsen, like, it's a mirror map play. You should dodge to the right there, not up and down.
And of course, up in the top lane, this is a slightly longer Gank You Very Much, but great baiting from Imp and Mata to finally kill off Wild Turtle and Lust Boy.
And just the timing of that ward, TSM went down to ward that thinking a gank might happen, but if you think a gank's going to happen and you're facing someone like Samsung White, they're going to probably already be there.
Yeah, and he held his Q so long though. He waited for the Wild Turtle dash to use his Lee Sin follow-up, and then a ward dash to follow it up and he gets instant kick. Good place.
Definitely want to give some props to Lust Boy, even in his death, still pulling off some flashy moves.
Yeah.
Guys, we will be back here tomorrow with another knockout best of 5 series between Korea's #1 seed Samsung Blue and the North American world's veterans Cloud9. We've already heard from the desk who they feel is going to be, coming out ahead in that one, and seems to be Samsung Blue in unanimous decision. That series will begin tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central European Summertime, or if you're in the Pacific time zone, it will hit your browser tonight at 10 p.m. That just about concludes our first day of matches from Busan. So I'd like to thank our special guest analysts once more for sharing their insights with us, and from myself, the casters, and the entire world's broadcast team, thank you guys for watching. As we leave you, we're going to play some highlights from this exciting series, and for some of you who aren't fluent in Korean, Dandy is telling Imp this is the second penta I'm giving you.
We're finally in Korea here for World Championship. It's time for practice.
Welcome to Korea! A great flash over from Lust Boy, but that could be Dade, or Pawn rather, exactly what he wants. Bjergsen's gonna get knocked away. Oh, does they finalize the kill? The Ignite's there, the Ignite's left, it's so long. Mata with a godlike hook from over the wall. Every hook, like I said, heat-seeking coming out of Mata. What can they ban? What can they do? Samsung getting everything they want.
Comfort breeds weakness.
Wild Turtle doing what he can to Orb walk this one out. Almost get enough damage, he does. They are able to lock down Pawn on this one, but they've lost 3. At what cost to keep the fight going here?
And White looks even better in game 2.
Level 1, 5v5, Dandy doesn't go down. Illusion passes. Lust Boy picks up first blood. The Ignite's down as well. And Samsung White is running for the hill. It's going to be game 3 in favor of Team Solo Mid. White takes down Team Solo Mid in the quarterfinals.